The shocking truth about temptation, biblical revelations at 3 a.m., haunts forever. It was a calm night in Oak Ridge, profound and silent. Or, it seemed that way until the clock struck 3, the witching hour when shadows twist, and truths come alive. The air outside felt electric, sharp like the charge before a storm, when every corner hides a secret, and every flicker of light is suspect. Folks might have been asleep, but not Emily. No, she was wide awake, restless, eyes glued to the swirling dark outside her window. The truth was, something strange was about to unfold. Every night, she could hear it, the whispering. Soft and low, teasing her with cryptic dreams and thoughts that twisted like smoke. Tonight was different. Tonight, the whispers morphed into words. A grim message floated through her mind, louder than ever: your temptations will confront you when the clock strikes 3. It sent chills racing down her spine. She couldn't shake the weight in her gut, the feeling that this night would be unlike any other. In the chaos of her mind, she recalled the tales warned about in the church, that ancient church at the end of the street. Whispers floated about its history, tales of long-lost souls, souls who faced their darkest desires after dark. Everyone knew that church was where good people went to get tangled in their own sin. The hairs on her neck stood up, as she recalled the stories of Saint Ren who'd seen the devil himself in that very place, tempting villagers at the stroke of 3. What if the tales were true? What if she was the next to confront her own truths? It was the moment of truth. Emily's heart raced, a wild drummer pounding in her chest as she crept to the window, her mind buzzing with anticipation and fear. The neighborhood lay still, but something shifted in the shadows. Distant lights flickered like nervous fireflies. Was it just her imagination? Or was someone, or something, lurking just outside? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Then, it happened. A low, rumbling voice broke the stillness, sending shivers through her bones. Emily, it called, laced with a twisted sense of familiarity. The sound drew her feet like a magnet. She found herself tiptoeing through the hallway, each creak of the floor like a scream in the dead of night. The air thickened, wrapped around her like a heavy cloak, cloaking her in dread. And just as her heart threatened to leap from her chest, the church's front door creaked wide open. Not a sound of rustling, not a soul in sight. What lay inside? Secrets? Shadows? Or was it something actively hunting her, waiting for its moment to pounce? She hesitated, the shadow of the church looming like a blackened monster against the moonlight. With a bolt of courage, she whispered a silent prayer, pushing herself forward, taking the first step toward her fate, and the looming darkness within. What awaited her inside the church? Only one thing was certain: this was only the beginning of her revelations at 3 a.m. Emily crossed the threshold, the chilling air wrapping around her, tugging at her skin. The church felt ancient, its stones heavy with secrets. Moonlight filtered through the stained glass, casting eerie colors that danced along the walls, life and death trapped in the vivid displays. Shadows flickered, teasing her from the corners like specters weaving in and out of existence. Why am I doing this? She whispered to herself, but the commitment to discovery quelled her fear. A flicker of movement caught her eye, and her heart raced. She nudged forward, the cold floor beneath her sandals hard and unyielding. Each step echoed, a death knell in the silence. Emily, the voice was softer now, but there was a palpable weight to it, drawing her deeper into the darkness. The pulpit loomed ahead, a silhouette dripping with an aura of malevolence. What awaited her there? A confrontation with her desires? Or worse, a confrontation with something else altogether. She could already feel the inkling of temptation whispering in her ear, taunting her with her deepest wishes and darkest fears. As she entered the nave, a sudden shift in temperature enveloped her, wrapping around her neck like a choking noose. She struggled to breathe, that unnerving feeling crawling up her spine. Shadows flickered angrily against the wall as if alive, and Emily's pulse quickened, each thump like a warning bell. Then, something moved in the corner of her eye, a figure standing under the flickering lights. She squinted, her heart hammering. Could it be someone else? Was she truly not alone? The figure's back was turned, dressed in shadows that blended with the church itself. A shiver ran through her bones. Turn around. The voice slipped through the hall like a fog, wrapping around her heart. The figure slowly pivoted, revealing a face she knew all too well. It was her own. But not her reflection, it was a twisted version of herself, eyes dark, a grin that spread maliciously across its face. Emily's throat went dry, a lump forming, holding her captive in horror. What? Who are you? The doppelganger's laugh echoed, mocking and twisted, a sound made from broken glass and uneasy reverie. I'm the part of you that you deny, the truth you hide. You called me here. Her mind raced back to the whispered warnings she had heard countless nights, the wrestling images that plagued her thoughts, each one more seductive than the last. It felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, longing to leap but terrified of the fall. Why now? Emily's voice shook, standing firm yet quaking inside. Why do you haunt me? Because the truth can't be buried, Emily. Your desires will shape you, they will either save you or destroy you. The shadows around her twisted and lunged, flickering like the flames of hell ready to consume. A blinding light erupted from the pulpit, illuminating her split self. The laughter roared louder, enveloping the church. The very walls seemed to tremble. Emily stumbled back, each beat of her heart thundering like a war drum. She felt herself slipping, the grotesque figure advancing toward her, demanding a reckoning. What choice lay before her? Would she continue to run, or face the darkest parts of herself? As she tumbled inside her mind, wrestling with the truth, the voice clawed at her thoughts. Make a choice, Emily. Time is fleeting. The moment stretched, a wire pulled taut, ready to snap. Suddenly, the church began to tremble violently as if calling for her decision. And then, everything went dark. What had she chosen? The echoes of the past beckoned, and now it was too late to turn back. A cold gasp filled the darkness, an influx of air that felt like shards of ice clashing against her chest. Emily's eyes shot open, the world around her exploding into vivid colors. The flickering light from the pulpit had transformed into a blinding beam that overwhelmed her senses. She was back on the cold stone floor, but something was different. The pulpit pulsed like a heartbeat, resonating with an ancient energy, whispering promises and illusions. The laughter of her doppelganger had quieted, replaced by a low, rumbling voice that filled the church. Choose wisely, it murmured, the sound wrapping around her like a shroud. A chill crawled down her spine, making every hair stand on end. In that moment of confusion, she understood the choice was not just hers. It was a choice bound by the fate of all who entered this sacred, cursed space. The light dimmed, revealing the pews lined with silhouettes, faces obscured, yet deeply familiar. Emily's heart raced, pounding like a war drum once more. Her friends, her family, each one a reflection of who she was and who she could become. Their eyes were hollow, empty lanterns that stared into her soul, begging for release. Help us. One voice cried out, barely a whisper. It echoed through the church, circling around her like a haunting melody. Stay. Stay with us. Another added, but it was more of a command than a plea. She felt herself being pulled in two directions. One groove tugged at her heart, filled with love and belonging, while the other whispered dark temptations, igniting desires buried beneath years of shame. I want tea. She shouted, clenching her hands into fists, the conflict tearing at her insides. I want to let you manipulate me. Suddenly, the room erupted into chaos. The shadows took on form, twisting into grotesque replicas of her loved ones, their faces contorted in pain. Their mouths opened, revealing a cacophony of desperate cries. Emily! You need to understand. They want it, just as you do. No! She screamed, over the din of voices that layered over each other like an unsettling symphony. Get out! You're not real. With a surge of defiance, she lunged towards the pulpit, seeking the heart of the light, the source of her torment and the key to her liberation. But as she approached, a force pushed her back, forcing her to stumble. Face yourself, Emily, her doppelganger hissed, crawling out from the shadows, grinning wider now. You can't escape what you truly are. The church shook, the stained glass painting the chaos in haunting shades of crimson and black. Emily stumbled, feeling the ground quake beneath her. This isn't real. She cried, clutching her head as if trying to drown out the noise. But the trembling only grew, a surge of energy pooling at her feet. She looked up, finding the eyes of her loved ones locked onto hers, filled with a mixture of yearning and despair. Choose, Emily. They all shouted in unison, their voices woven together, compelling her. Save us or save yourself. The weight of their expectations pressed upon her, heavier than the stones that surrounded her. Sweat dripped down her temple as she felt herself teetering on the edge of resolve and surrender. Time slipped away like sand through her fingers, urgency clawed at her chest. Could she truly find a way to save everyone? Or would she be forced to accept her own darkness, a darkness that could consume more than just her? The pulpit began to pulse with a radiant glow, the shadows recoiling, and it opened like a portal, promising whatever she desired. And as the light reached out, she was faced with a staggering choice, a single moment that could change everything. Do you dare? It beckoned, to become what you've always wanted. In that heartbeat, Emily felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, and the darkness beckoned. Would she embrace the haunting truth or forge her own path into the light? The choice was now. And her answer would echo far beyond the stone walls. As the pulpit's light expanded, Emily's heart pounded harder, threatening to break free from her chest. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a storm, a blend of temptation and hope. Her breath came in rapid gasps, the air thick with dread. I can't do this," she murmured, the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. The light flickered, revealing glimpses of another world through the pulpit's open maw, shadows of what she could become if she took the plunge. A life of fame and success, power beyond measure flashed before her. But lurking at the edges of that promise was a darkness that whispered sinister truths, old fears that gnawed at her core, reminding her of failures, regrets, every moment of doubt that had ever cast a shadow over her spirit. Don't listen. Fight them, Emily. The voice of her closest friend, Sarah, rang clear, cutting through the noise. The overall scene twisted and jolted as long-forgotten memories and feelings surged forward, vying for her attention. Whispers altered, morphing from desperate pleas to seductive calls that promised the fulfillment of her every wish. It twisted her stomach and made her pulse race. Join us, embrace your desires, the doppelganger crooned, its eyes glinting like polished stone, waiting in anticipation for her answer. We can be one. All that you've ever wanted is just a choice away. But this wasn't just a choice about her. The coupling of the pulpit-esque glow and the surrounding darkness created an intense spectacle, and it was no longer just the specters of her family she was weighing. It was the fate of countless people who had entered this cursed place, souls bound in shadows waiting for someone to break their chains. Dread filled her. If she chose wrong, would she damningly seal their fate, strip them of their hopes just to fulfill her deepest desires? With renewed determination bubbling in her chest, Emily stepped forward again, fighting the invisible force that pushed her back. The ground shook, and under her feet, the stones felt alive, almost as if they were breathing with her, both welcoming and warning. I want to choose selfishly. I refuse to let my desire condemn you, she declared, her voice steadying. As her words filled the space, a shocking silence engulfed the chaos. The shadows fluttered, and the grotesque images of her loved ones began to fade, their agonized faces contorting as they wrestled between reality and illusion. Then, a flash of memory zipped through her mind, their laughter during sunny afternoons, the warmth of shared moments, each a vital thread anchoring her to them. The images grew brighter, fueled by her resolve. No. You are more than your shadows. She cried, standing resolutely on the crumbling stone. Suddenly, the pulpit's radiance dimmed, pulsating erratically. What have you done? Hissed her doppelganger, panic creeping into its voice. You can't deny your true nature. But she felt a spark of hope amidst the rising tumult. If she embraced who she truly was, could she change the fate of everyone trapped here? The glow now hovered at her fingertips, warm and enticing, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Emily. Fight with us. Sarah's voice cut through the remnants of chaos, a beacon urging her to battle the darkness within, pushing away the creeping fingers of despair. Emily focused on the light. It was her last shot, a chance to shatter their chains and emerge from this nightmare. She stretched toward the pulpit, heart racing. Would the light accept her plea to stand against temptation, or would it pull her deeper into the abyss of her own making? The vortex shimmered, waiting. And then it happened just as she was about to make her move. Reality quaked violently, a roar echoing through the ancient church. The portal flickered ominously, hinting at something darker lurking beyond the light. Emily. They were all screaming now. Don't let it win. The moment was here. Emily had to seize it. But as she reached out, a familiar voice, low and chilling, echoed from the shadows. You think you can escape me? The pulpit trembled. At her fingertips, and the shadows teetered between light and darkness, what awaited her beyond the threshold? Would she face the demons both inside and out? The world around Emily spun violently as she reached for the pulpit's glow. The shadows writhed, itching to pull her back into their suffocating embrace, and the doppelganger hissed, its voice an icy wind against her skin. You can't fight what you truly are. Embrace your fate. Before she could respond, the pulpit violently pulsed again, a wave of energy crashing over her like a rogue wave threatening to drag her under. The screams of her friends faded as if swallowed by the chaotic forces swirling in the darkness. She could feel the nearness of something both thrilling and terrifying, a power that tantalized her. But in the heart of that pull, a clear voice rose above the chaos, a plea from Sarah that struck deep. Emily. We're counting on you. Don't let it take you. The warmth of that connection ignited a fire within Emily. Gathering her strength, she took a defiant step forward, feeling her heart rate boom in her ears. I refuse to surrender. I choose hope. With those words, the pulpit brightened momentarily, illuminating the cavern of shadows that had seeped into every crevice of her mind. But the power was unpredictable, like wild electricity with a mind of its own. The figures of her loved ones flickered back into view, their forms distorted by the pulsating darkness. No. You can't. The doppelganger roared, desperation creeping into its tone, an unsettling reminder of the resolve it possessed. You prefer your painful memories? Your weaknesses? Each confession dragged at the seams of her resolve. Choked whispers echoed her old fears. You always let us down, they taunted, weaving through her thoughts like poison. The pulpit trembled, a warning tremor that made her falter. Memories of failures flashed before her, familiar shadows of past mistakes she had tried so hard to escape. They loomed larger and larger, closing in on her, suffocating her with guilt. Panic surged. But Sarah's voice pierced through the veil, strong and unwavering. Emily. Your past doesn't define you. You can break free. And that's when she remembered. The laughter, the love, the moments that made her feel alive. It was those threads, the joy of living, that she needed to hold on to. Each nostalgic thought wrapped around her heart, urging her forward. You're right. She shouted, defiantly breaking the echoing shadows that sought to ensnare her. I am not my past, I am what I choose to be now. The pulpit flared in response to her conviction, the dark wails shrieking as if they were set ablaze. Blinding light burst forth, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe in agony. She could almost see the countless souls trapped just beyond her reach, their forms trapped in a web of despair. Fighting through the tumult, Emily launched forward, hands outstretched toward the light. With all of my love and what I believe in, I ask you to break their chains. She cried. The pulpit surged, amplifying her intention, light consuming the dark, scattering their malevolent whispers. As the overwhelming brightness poured into the space, the ground roared violently beneath her feet. Thunder boomed, and she felt power thrumming through her veins, almost alive. But just as she thought she grasped the warmth of freedom, the shadows sputtered into a deafening stillness, and a chilling laugh spiraled into the air. It echoed like a harbinger of dread, twining itself into her bones. You think it's over? This is just the beginning. The voice twisted her heart, and dread filled her with certainty. There was more at stake. The pulpit's light flickered, revealing fractured images that twisted together a future shrouded in darkness, a vision of despair and light fighting to merge. Fear seeped back into her resolve as she realized the chilling truth. This entity was not just a reflection, it was something much more sinister, something that had been anticipating this very moment. She had opened a door, but was it one she could close? With a deep breath, Emily made her choice. The shadows might grow stronger, but she would be the light. I will face whatever awaits me. I will not back down. But as she braced for what was to come, a shadow lashed out, trying to grasp her limbs, attempting to drag her into the encroaching darkness. What would Emily face next? How far into the depths was she willing to go to save the lost souls? The shadows surged, wrapping around Emily like cold, damp fog, each tendril whispering the doubts and insecurities she'd battled for years. Every touch sent memories cascading through her mind, each flicker a reminder of vulnerability. Her stomach churned with each mocking laughter echoing from the inky depths. Let go, Emily, the doppelganger coaxed, its voice slick with malice. Embrace your true self. You know this power can give you everything you've ever wanted. Emily shivered, the offer like a sickening lure hanging in the air. And what would that mean? She shot back, teeth clenched in defiance. Power at the cost of my soul? No. I'd rather stand against you than fall for that. The doppelganger laughed again, a sound sharp enough to cut through the saturated darkness. Oh, don't be naive. You think you can save them? Their faces will be the last thing you see before you join me. They're only illusions, just like your hope. Overwhelmed by fear, she hesitated for a heartbeat. But then she remembered Sarah's unwavering voice, the strength it carried, and rooted herself firmly. You think you can manipulate me with fear? I have faced my demons. I know who I am. With renewed purpose, Emily reached for the pulpit again, and the light surged, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. It felt electric, spiraling through her limbs, filling her with courage. She had a choice, she always had a choice, but the shadows thickened in response, swirling violently as they began to coalesce into a single, massive figure. Emily could feel a tremor beneath her feet, a deep rumble that threatened to swallow her whole. Dare you challenge the darkness, little girl? It bellowed, its voice a cacophony of whispers and howls. You will regret crossing me. I regret fighting for the light. Emily shouted defiantly, channeling every ounce of will she could muster. Even if it means going deeper into the abyss. With that proclamation, she lunged into the overwhelming void, feeling the shadows grasp desperately at her, clawing to hold her back. The light from the pulpit intertwined with her very essence, igniting a brilliant radiance around her form. The confrontation surged, a struggle against the powerful entity attempting to envelope her. As she pushed against the darkness, a figure stepped forward, another shadow, but shaped differently. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she recognized him, a twisted reflection of her past self, wearing all the mistakes she had worked so hard to shed. Look how far you've fallen, it sneered. You really think that you can win when you still carry your burdens? No. Emily screamed as tears fell, cutting through the anger. You're not me. I am stronger than every mistake I've ever made. The words hung heavy in the air, disbelief painted on the distorted face of her shadowy counterpart. It paused, momentarily taken aback, and in that moment of hesitation, Emily reached out with both hands to the pulpit. The light roared, expanding outward, swallowing the dark figure whole as it howled in fury, intertwining her power with renewed hope, but suddenly, a bone-chilling realization gripped her. The figure was retreating, its essence mingling with the shadows as it hissed, "You think you have severed the bond, but I am woven into your very identity." The pulpit trembled violently, splintering cracks appearing in the once mighty structure, sending shards spilling toward Emily. She froze for a moment, heart racing as the air vibrated with the echoes of the battle. Was she too late? The fractures expanded, the void veering dangerously close as she fought to hold on, and then, amidst the chaos, a haunting clarity emerged. A voice familiar and gentle. "Emily, don't let the past consume you. Your future lies ahead." As shadows roared and the light flickered, Emily felt the grip of both despair and hope intertwining. She was at the precipice, the darkness raging at her heels and the pulpit trembling beneath her. With every ounce of her being, a new choice blossomed within her. "I will not be defined by my darkness," she declared. Casting herself into the whirlpool of shadows, chasing after that elusive flicker of light, what awaited her beyond the veil? Would she uncover the core of her true identity, or would the darkness claim her for good? The darkness enveloped Emily, a shroud of frantic whispers and biting doubts trying to pull her down. Yet, amidst the cacophony, she felt the flicker of hope like a candle flame in her chest, urging her to push forward into the unknown. The pulpit was behind her now, its light reduced to a distant glow, but she closed her eyes and steeled her resolve. In the void, a vivid scene unfolded before her, one she couldn't escape, nor wish to forget. Images of her past flashed like a slideshow, moments of love and laughter alongside echoes of shame and regret. There was her childhood bedroom, where she scribbled dreams on her walls, and the familiar porch swing that swayed under the weight of her tears. But darker memories flooded in too, betrayal, loss, moments where she felt utterly alone. Guilt washed over her. What if it's true? She thought, what if I can't escape who I was? Suddenly, the doppelganger materialized before her, its features contorted with vicious delight. "You see? It haunts you. You cannot hide from the truth." The figure's smile was a sickening twist of pleasure. "Embrace it, Emily. Acknowledge your demons. You can only find power in surrender. I want to listen to you," Emily shouted, her heart pounding. The pressure around her intensified, shadows clawing at her indiscriminately, squeezing tighter as the chilling voice dripped with temptation. Everything she had feared was wrapped within this entity. Would it really be so easy to give in? With every ounce of will she had, Emily reached out, scrabbling towards the light that lingered at the edge of her mind. "Stop. You're not real," she screamed through gritted teeth, and the words echoed back, ricocheting through the suffocating darkness. The shadows shrieked, recoiling as if stung. Seizing the moment, Emily pushed forward, combining the pain of her past with the power of her defiance. Visions swirled in front of her, the faces of those she loved, their smiles urging her on. "I am more than my failures," she cried, channeling her memories into the light. Then she remembered the comfort of Sarah's laughter, the warmth of friendship that never wavered, and a surge of energy flooded through her. It grounded her, rooting her to the moment, and she felt the cracks in the darkness begin to widen. She could see a glimmer through the fractures, a genuine path forward. "You are not worthy of that light," the doppelganger snarled, its face twisting into grotesque fury. Emily's gut twisted. It was as if the creature truly believed its own words, intent on dragging her back into despair. "You abandoned it willingly. Look how far you've fallen." "No. Emily shouted back, summoning every last scrap of belief she had. I may have stumbled, but I've learned. I'm not the girl you think I am. Her voice echoed with newfound strength, filling the empty void around her. Drawing from deep within, Emily launched herself toward the breaking light, each step a defiance against the shadows that clung to her. The doppelganger cackled, the sound a thunderous roar that shook the very fabric of the dark realm. You think you'll escape? You'll always be tied to me. But she wouldn't let fear bind her anymore. Emily shattered the illusion in one final push, feeling her essence intertwine with the brightness around her. The shadows began to ripple and dissipate, releasing their grip as they wailed and twisted into vapor. Then, all fell eerily silent. Emily stood, breathless, inside a glimmering expanse of light. It enveloped her like a warm embrace, and for the first time, she felt truly free. But just as a sense of peace settled over her, the bright sanctuary flickered and shadows began creeping back in, gathering in the corners, whispering doubts anew. What had she truly escaped? Was the battle far from over? Just as the lights dimmed, a question arose from the depths of a familiar voice, sending a shiver down her spine. Emily, the real challenge is yet to come. As the darkness surged forward once more, she braced herself. Would this time be the final reckoning, or just another step deeper into the abyss? The darkness closed in again, a familiar weight that pressed against Emily's chest. Panic surged, tightening like a vice. She found light, only to have it snatched away. But there was no time for despair. With every whisper of doubt, she had to stand firm. Emily. The voice echoed, but it wasn't just the doppelganger anymore. It was a chorus, a multitude of voices merging into one, encircling her. They danced around her ears, frantic like moths drawn to a flame. You think you can run? You're shackled to your past. Breath hitching, Emily clamped her hands to her temples, the warmth of the light teasing at her fingertips. No! She shouted, heart racing. You don't control me. The ground beneath her quaked, shuddering like a live wire, sending rivulets of darkness snaking at her feet. She could feel shadows wrapping around her ankles, pulling her down. Was this it? Would she be dragged back into that chasm of despair? Instinct kicked in. With all her strength, she threw her fists forward, a primal scream escaping her lips. As if responding to her sheer will, the light around her brightened, expanding outward in a warm halo that bathed the encroaching shadows. They recoiled, hissing like steam in the face of fire. You're nothing without us. They howled, their voices sharp and barbed. Remember who you were. Images twisted through her mind, days spent crying over lost love, moments where shame had painted her every move. But she pushed them away. No! She roared, remembering how far she had come, the people who believed in her. Sarah, her family, the friends who wouldn't let her sink into self-loathing. I am not my mistakes. With newfound courage, she took a step forward, each stride unsteady yet resolute. The light surged around her, igniting the shadows and sending them scattering like roaches caught in a floodlight. But they wouldn't give up easily. They clawed at her, trying to pull her back into the memories and self-doubt, digging into her psyche with relentless persistence. Suddenly, the bright expanse shimmered violently, like the surface of a disturbed lake. Emily. The voice boomed again, now a single powerful command. Listen to me. The further you go, the harder it gets. A shiver traveled down her spine. Who are you? She cried. The question hung in the air, tangible and heavy. I am the truth you refuse to confront, the voice replied, resonating with authority. You can't escape forever. A reckoning awaits. Ahead of her, a figure materialized against the flickering backdrop, a person, cloaked in shadow, yet radiating an aura of disbelief, an echo of someone she once knew. Could it be her own reflection? Or was it something more sinister? Her breath caught in her throat. What do you want? she demanded, stepping back, instinctively wary. The figure tilted its head, eyes gleaming like shards of glass in the dim light. To show you the real path. Our fates are intertwined, Emily. Just as she took another step, the earth trembled anew, and darkness surged, threatening to engulf her. In moments of looming chaos, she found clarity. The sensation of destiny swelled within her, and she knew she had to choose fight or flee. With the sounds of whispers dissolving into frantic screams, she made her choice. I will not be a prisoner of my past, she declared fiercely. But the shadows fought back, their tendrils wrapping tighter still around her limbs, dragging her closer to the choice that lay ahead. As the struggle heightened, one final thought pierced through the noise, a chilling question, resembling a twisted echo of her own voice. Are you ready to face the truth? Emily felt her heart race, not just with fear, but something sharper, igniting inside her. Was she ready to confront the hidden parts of herself? To embrace whatever came next? The shadows lunged, and she braced herself, the pulsing light battling against the dark. The question hung in the air, the ultimate challenge still waiting ahead. Would she be released or consumed? Would she finally uncover the truth that lay buried beneath the rubble of her past? The darkness lunged at her, closing in with gnashing teeth. Emily took a deep breath, refusing to let the shadows claim her. I will face the truth, she shouted into the abyss. And then, she advanced, reaching for that shimmering light, drawing it in as if it could shield her from the clutches of despair. With each step, the shadows hissed louder, a cacophony of voices rising, warping into distorted memories. Faces flickered in the darkness, her father shaking his head in disappointment, friends who had drifted away, lovers lost to time. Forget them, they shrieked, their voices clawing at her sanity. They'll only drag you down. No. Her fists clenched. They believed in me. With every ounce of her strength, she tore herself from their grasp. The light flared, pushing back the darkness like a protective shield. She felt the warmth envelop her, a sensation akin to being cradled and hugged from everything good she had known. But just as hope began to settle in, the figure stepped closer, materializing from the blackness with a slow, deliberate grace. You think you can escape? The voice dripped with mockery, laying bare the shadows of her insecurities. You only wear a mask, Emily. One day, you must show who you really are. The figure continued, advancing as if it were feeding off her fear. Face the truth, it insisted, its eyes gleaming with a hunger that made the air around her thicken. Embrace your darkness. It defines you. Emily's heart raced, pumping a hot surge of resolve through her veins. No, I'm defined by my choices, not my past. She countered, forcing herself to draw closer, to confront the apparition that resembled a warped reflection of herself. The ground beneath her trembled, sending vibrations through her body. You are fragile, Emily. Beneath all that light, you're just a scared little girl. That cruel taunt nestled in her brain, threatening to take root. A crushing weight threatened to crush her spirit and draw her into despair. But, alongside it, the flicker of the warm light ignited a blazing fire within her, reminding her of the battles she'd won, of the nights spent crying, but also of the days spent laughing with those she loved. Who do you think you are? She challenged, steadying herself against the explosion of noise around her. You don't own me. With her voice rising, the shadows recoiled slightly, as if her defiance hurt them. Fueled by the light, the air shimmered, hope flickered in the leaden gloom. Face what you've buried. The dark figure lashed out, but Emily stayed firm. Show yourself. There was a crack, a blinding flash, and Emily was thrust into a vision. Memories cascaded around her, splintered and raw. She stood at a fork in the road, a pivotal moment where she had to choose, cling to the safety of her shadows or step boldly into the brilliance of truth. The air crackled with tension, and she gritted her teeth. In that split second, she realized she hadn't just buried her past, she had built walls around it. The darkness couldn't exist without the light, just as she needed her history to shape her future. "Fine," the figure whispered, its voice sultry and sinister. "It's time to unlock the door." A door materialized behind the figure, ancient and foreboding, its edges pulsating with darkness. Emily's pulse quickened. Each beat echoed through her, a reminder that she had a choice to make, and yet an unsettling chill swept over her. What lay beyond the door? Was it the past she couldn't escape or a revelation that would shatter her very essence? With daunting uncertainty, she stepped closer, feeling the icy pull of the handle. This truth might break her or set her free. "Are you ready to turn the handle?" The figure goaded, a smirk playing at the corners of its lips. Emily hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing down on her, every nerve alive with anticipation. Would she dare to find out what lay on the other side? The darkness began to swirl around her again, threatening to pull her back. Her mind raced, wrestling with the choice that could alter everything. Would she gather her strength and open the threshold, or would she be swallowed by the past, forever trapped in the haunting embrace of what could have been? The question reverberated in the silent chaos, the final barrier between her and the truth looming just a breath away. Could she face what awaited her, or would she retreat into shadows once more? Emily gripped the cold handle, heart racing like a wild drum in her chest. The shadows huddled close, their whispers now a symphony of taunts and temptations. "Open it," they urged, their voices dripping with dark sweetness. "See who you really are." With a deep breath, the warmth of the pulpit's light pulsed faintly in her mind, her anchor in the storm. She had come so far, faced unimaginable fears. Could she truly unravel the last threads binding her to despair? "Face the truth," echoed the figure, nearly melding into the swirling shadows. "Enough!" Emily shouted, her voice ringing clear amid the chaos. "You don't define me." With that burst of defiance, she turned the handle. The door creaked open with a reluctant groan, revealing a blinding light that spilled forth like a river of sunshine. It enveloped her instantly, washing away the shadows and their biting fears. As the light rushed in, Emily stepped forward, feeling every weight lift from her shoulders, every painful memory dissolving into soft whispers behind her. And there, in the illumination, stood her past unfolding like pages from a book. She saw herself as a child, scribbling dreams onto the bedroom walls. She was laughing with Sarah, carefree and bold. Each moment of joy, interlaced with her shadows, where shame and regret once loomed like dark clouds. But they didn't feel suffocating anymore, they were pieces of a puzzle, essential parts of her journey. "I am who I choose to be," she proclaimed, the realization igniting her spirit. "You can't take that from me." The shadowy figure shifted, its stance faltering as it battled with the light. "You think you've won?" it hissed, eyes narrowing. "Your darkness makes it easy for me to exist." "No!" Emily yelled, arms spread wide, absorbing the truth that was now vibrant and alive. "You exist because I give you power, but I am not afraid anymore." With fierce determination, she focused on the light, letting its warmth engorge her. It surged forward, wrapping around her in brilliant waves, rising against the encroaching shadows. And the figure, once malevolent, began to tremble. "You'll see you cannot escape me. I'm woven into your very fabric." But Emily held her ground, drawing strength from every memory, every laugh, every tear. "You are not my truth, you are merely a part of my story." Blinding light flared as if responding to her confidence, scattering the shadows like dry leaves in the wind. She watched as the dark figure writhed, twisting in a frenzy before evaporating into mist, leaving only a gentle whisper behind, "You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over." And just like that, silence enveloped her. No shadows, no taunts, just the warmth of the light that cradled her being. Emily felt free, truly free for the first time. "Emily!" A familiar voice broke through the stillness, resonating with joy. It was Sarah, emerging from the light, a radiant smile brightening her face. Behind her stood their friends, family members, all their faces filled with pride. "You did it!" Sarah exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "You faced the darkness." Tears of joy rushed to Emily's eyes as she hugged Sarah, the embrace grounding her. She felt the weight of their connection again, solid and pure, reminding her of what truly mattered: the love and support of those who stood by her. As the last remnants of darkness faded, Emily knew it wouldn't be easy from here on out. Temptation might return, shadows might linger. But she had faced her fears and emerged alive. And she wouldn't walk that road alone. So, what now? Emily asked, looking at her friends, heart swelling with hope. Sarah beamed. "Now we live, we shine, and we support each other. No matter what comes next." Together, they stepped forward, eyes set toward a bright horizon, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. And as they walked hand in hand into the newfound light, Emily felt that whisper of truth: she was more than her past, more than her choices, she was a survivor, a fighter. It was time for their story to begin anew. Before you move on, don't forget to take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive tales that will blow your mind. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Your support is everything. I want to hear your reactions, theories, and thoughts in the comments section. Flood it with everything you think about this ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your love and support keep this community alive.